If you've been following my channel for a while, you probably know that I like to say that your website is the most important marketing asset. And when it comes to your website, looks do matter. So now, the start of the new year is actually one of the best times to breathe new life into your website and do some small tweaks and changes that can really take your website to the next level and give it that fresh look for the start of the new year. And that's what I'm going to share in today's video. If you're new to my channel, my name is Ana. I am the owner of Light Design Studio, where I design custom Squarespace websites and templates to help you launch your website as quickly as possible. And here on this channel, I share design, marketing, and business tips to help you work smarter and not harder. So if that is something that interests you, consider subscribing to my channel. And now, without further ado, let's dive in. So one of the first things that I recommend you do at the start of the new year is to update any outdated info on your website. Obviously, this includes the year in your footer or the copyright year in your footer. Make sure that it reflects the current year. And then you also want to go through other pages on your website and update any information that maybe need updating. So for example, if on your about page you say that you've been in business for 5 years and you've worked with 200 clients and you have 20 people in your mastermind, has that number increased over the years? If that's the case, you will want to update that to reflect current stats. You also want to make sure that all your social media links still work and point to the correct profiles. Your contact information is up to date, and any package or service names are correct and up to date and reflect your current pricing information. While you're at it, be sure to double check your scheduler links and make sure that people can book appointments with you easily instead of running into the 404 pages and just getting that ugly error that the page doesn't exist. While we're updating any outdated info on our website, the next logical step is to check for any broken links. Look, that's just par for the course. When you're on a website, broken links will happen no matter what. It's easy to just delete a page and forget to point to the correct location of a new page everywhere else on your website. You don't have to do this manually. There are tools that can help you with this. I know that if you use WordPress, there is a dedicated plugin for that. If you use Squarespace, you can use brokenlinkcheck.com. I will leave a link to it in the description below. All you have to do is enter the URL of your website, it will scan it, and it will return a list of all the broken links or URLs that are missing from your website, and you can then go in and make sure that those links point to the correct places and the correct pages on your website. The easiest way to fix those is to actually create redirects in your Squarespace website, and I do have a tutorial that talks about how to create branded short links on your website, but it's actually also a tutorial for how to redirect URLs in your Squarespace website, so be sure to watch that one. I will leave a link to it in the description below or somewhere on the screen here. Another easy way to update your website for the new year is to simply swap out the photos that you're using. This applies to photos of you, as well as any photos that you use as full width backgrounds to represent your services, products, or your brand in general. Now, you don't have to go overboard and gather 100 different images. You can actually get a lot of work done if you have good 10 to 15 photos, and then you can use software like Canva to crop different parts of the images and reuse one image in many different ways. If you're interested in a tutorial on how I would go about doing this, let me know in the comments and I will make sure to record one. If you're looking for suggestions on how to actually get photos for your website, you don't have to organize a full-on brand photo shoot if that is something that you do not have time for. You can use stock photo sites like Unsplash or Pexels to get gorgeous stock photos for free. Unsplash even integrates with Squarespace, so if you're using Squarespace, that's a bonus point. Or if you're looking for something more unique, you can check out stock photo sites, paid memberships such as Ivory Mix or Style Stock Society. Those are one of my two favorite stock photo sites, and the ones that I most commonly recommend to my clients. And if you're looking for a little more guidance on how to actually choose stock photo sites or how to actually choose stock photos that work for your website, I have a guide that I will link to below in the description that you can sign up for and learn all about choosing the right website photos for your site. Another thing that you can do at the start of the year for your website that isn't necessarily a refresh, but it will give you an idea of what you can improve and how you can improve your website further, and that is to evaluate your site performance. Now, this means checking your analytics and just seeing how your website is performing. This will give you an insight into what words people are using to find your website. to search for your offers and to actually land on your website. And you will also see what type of content is popular on your website, where your audience is coming from, what pages are most visited, and all that other good stuff. Again, if you're using Squarespace analytics are a good place to start, but if you want to dig even deeper and see what your clients are using, there are other dedicated analytics tools such as Google Analytics, Fathom Analytics, and others that can give you even more insight into what people are doing on your website. Another thing that you can do while you're evaluating your site performance is connect your website with a tool like Hotjar. This will basically give you a heat map that tells you how your users are interacting with your website, and it can be really interesting to see how they're moving around, how they're clicking on your website, how they're scrolling, and general actions that they're taking on your website. And then the last thing that I would do to evaluate your site performance is to check your site speed with a tool like Pingdom Tools and just see how fast your website is loading. A fast loading website is very important nowadays because if it takes more than 2 seconds to load, your visitors are likely to leave and never come back. And one of the best ways that you can improve your site's performance are actually optimizing images for your website, and I have a whole tutorial on how you can do that I will leave a link to in the description or somewhere on the screen here so that you can watch it later. My fifth tip for refreshing your website for the new year is to actually sit down and create a dedicated editorial calendar. By now, you've probably heard me say a million times that blogging on your website is actually one of the best ways to market your website, and now is the perfect time to actually map out a few blog topics that you will be talking about throughout the year. Now, you don't have to go overboard and plan out the entire year. My recommendation is to do planning in 90-day chunks. So for right now, focus on what you're going to be promoting this quarter and then create a content calendar around it that speaks to your audience and naturally leads them in their customer journey from being aware of the problem that they have and then slowly coming up to your product as the solution for that problem. Tip number 6 is to review the calls to action on your website. Calls to action should be present on every page on your website. You don't want any dead ends. You don't want users reaching a page on your website and then not knowing what to do next. So every page on your website should have a clear call to action that moves them one step closer towards becoming your subscribers or actually getting in touch with you about your services, products, offers, whatever you're doing to make money online. Now, calls to action should be short and compelling and really stand out and encourage users to take action. So you want to make sure that the color stands out from the rest of your website, and you also want to make sure that the language that you're using is compelling enough for them to take action. So instead of saying submit or send on your forms or subscribe, try changing the language, switching it up and saying something, send it to me now, or yes, I want this, or take me there, or anything that uses active language and active verbs on your site to get them to take action. Tip number 7, and this applies if you're using a Squarespace website, but it's also applicable if you're using other platforms, except in Squarespace, this section is called the not linked section, and this is where we would place all the pages that do not appear in our main navigation. You probably have some pages on your website, even if you're using a different platform, that are no longer relevant, that are no longer needed. So it's a good practice to go through all the pages on your website, see if they're still relevant, and simply removing those that are no longer relevant. Any offers that you have that aren't applicable anymore, just delete those pages. If you have any freebies that you no longer offer, remove those pages from your website. And just generally do a little bit of house cleanup there. If you're not sure that you're going to need that page, or if you're not sure if you should delete it, then I recommend you actually hide it from the search engines, and you can easily do that in Squarespace by clicking on page settings and then click hide from search engines under the SEO section. And there are ways to also disable pages and set them to no index in other platforms like WordPress or any other platform that you might be using. The reason we want to do this is because Google and other search engines don't actually like pages that aren't linked to from other pages and any pages that might be considered duplicate pages. So Google doesn't like them, so it's a good practice to actually remove those unneeded, unnecessary old pages that you're no longer using. If you're not sure if you should delete them, then go ahead and hide them from search engines. My next tip is if you have a sidebar on your blog, now is a perfect time to actually review that sidebar, see what's in it, and do any necessary updates that you might want to do over there. So make sure that if you have social media links that they point to the correct locations. Make sure that you have a search bar. If you don't, already. See if there are any categories that need to be updated, any products that need to be featured in there. Again, if you don't have a sidebar, then obviously you don't need to do this. But if you use a sidebar on your blog, then this is definitely good practice to incorporate into your general site checkup. And my final tip is to simply upgrade your website design. Now, if you don't have a budget to hire a designer, or if you're not sure how to embark on this project by yourself, then consider using a pre-made template for your website. If you're using Squarespace, I have 14 Squarespace templates that you can choose from, and they all come pre-installed in your account, and they were made with coaches and service providers in mind to help you book more clients from your website. So if that is something that you're interested in, I'll leave a link to the templates in the description below. And those are my tips for how to actually refresh your website for the new year. And if you're looking for how to actually get started with Squarespace, I have a whole tutorial that walks you through the process that I will leave a link to in the description below. And that's it for this video, and I'll see you next time.